One is that you have one Rabbi, you have one Rami. Step one, there's a machlekes in our Mishnah. If a sukkah higher than 20 amas is kosher, Tanakama / Rabbanan hold it, right? It's possible. Yehuda is kosher.
This is a chizik, buddy. This is Torah. This is not chizik.
But this is machazik me.
There are then over here. There are three reasons. I whatever. I know what the item is. There are three reasons. The only needs chizik is that's not here.
Or a hangover.
Okay, step one, there's a machlekes in our Mishnah. If his sukkah higher than 20 amas is kosher. The Tanakama and the Rabbanan hold it's possible. The hold it's kosher. Okay? Step number two. There are three reasons given in the Gemara why the Rabbanan hold that a sukkah higher than 20 amas is possible. We have Rabbah, says you need to be aware of the schach. That's Laman Yedu. Rabbi Zera says you need to sit in the tzel, in the shade.
It's sukkah.
It's sukkah, right? The schach. The sukkah tiyel itself. Rava says you need to be in a sukkah that is that is temporary. The sukkah is teishu, without getting into the right. Sukkah is teishu shivas yamin. Step number three. Okay, so now that we have that background, we know the machlekes, and we know there are three reasons why higher than 20 would not be good. Step number three is the Gemara will bring three opinions as to where the machlekes apply. Where does the machlekes apply between the Rabbanan and the Tanakama? Right? The Gemara will attempt to match these opinions to one of the three reasons we gave earlier for the pasul of higher than 20. Is that clear? We're going to give three places where it applies, and we're going to say, does this fit with any of those reasons? The first member we brought was from Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says the machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan only applies where the walls do not reach a schach. If they do, then the Rabbanan would agree that the sukkah is kosher, even higher than 20. That fits with Rabbah. Because with the walls of the schach, your eyes will notice it. Kalar, easy, right? 2. Rav Huna Amarav. Machlekes between Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda applies only to a sukkah that is 4 amos by 4 amos. If it's larger, then even Rabbanan would agree the sukkah is kosher, right? Higher than 20 amos. This would fit with Rabbi Zera because the reason of tzel. And here, if the sukkah is larger, then there's more shade, and you can go higher than 20 amos. Klar?
Klar.
Reb Chana bar Abba said the machlekes between Tanakam and Yehuda is only by a sukkah that is Roshei Ruba Shulchan, which is 7 by 7. But if it is larger, then Rabbanan would agree to Rabbi Yehuda that it's kosher, higher than 20. This does not seem to fit with any reason listed earlier, and must be based on a fourth reason not known to us. Okay, now this line is important over here, on the bottom. It would seem that there's a three-way fundamental difference between these three Amorim as to what the psul of sukkah more than 20. As to the psul of sukkah more than 20. What's the reason? The reason behind each one of them has to be something different. Is that right? That makes sense? Yeah. One shade, one Laman Yedu, another one we don't know. Step 4. This is what we did yesterday, which I hope that I think this is clear. This is an important point. The Gemara explains that certainly Rav Yeshua cannot agree to the reason of the other two, because his reason relates to the height of the sukkah, while the other two, Rav Huna, Amarav, and Rav Chanan, discuss the size of the sukkah. But perhaps Rav Huna Amarav, who says 4 amos, and Rav Nachman bar Abba, who says 4 tvachim, they agree to this. That they agree to the same issue in the sukkah higher than 20. Meaning they both agree that whatever the reason why it's not good, they both agree to that reason. They're not having a major machlekes. One holds shade, one holds something else. Whatever the reason may be, we don't know the common reason between the two of them. And what we know is that the reason is only present when the sukkah is at its minimum size. Once it's larger than the minimum size, that issue is no longer present, and the Rabbanan would agree with a maksha sukkah higher than 20.
And at the minimum size, everyone's masking under 20 is also kosher.
Yes, right. But I'm saying the machlekes only exists by the minimum size sukkah. Whatever the reason is, I don't know. Whatever that issue is by minimum size sukkah, I don't know what it is. Let's say cell. I'm using cell, although it's not cell.
7 by 7 would be good as long as it's under 20?
No, not less.
Right. So everyone, listen to it. 1 second. This 1 second. So what we know is that, let's say this, that Rav Chanan.
Oh boy.
The Rav Chanan Amarav, Rav Chanan and Rav Huna. I want to make sure this clear. Let us say, why do you have to say that one holds up cell and one holds up a fourth reason?
All right.
Chan, come here. Take care of you, Chan. Come here.
Woke up? No.
Got COVID. Oh boy.
Why do we have to say that Rav Huna and Rav Chanan? Why do we have to say that Rav Huna and Rav Chanan are hold of different reasons? Why can't we say that Rav Huna and Rav Chanan agree to the same reason? What's that reason? Okay, whatever it is, sell. Let's give for argument's sake, it's sell. But that reason will only apply when the sukkah is the minimum shear. Once you go out of the minimum shear, the issue is no longer there, right? Good.
The sukkah will provide shade.
The sukkah provides shade, or whatever reason it solves that issue, right? Whatever reason it solves that issue, yeah. So what are they arguing about? Not a big fundamental discussion. They're arguing what's the minimum shear sukkah. Reb Chanan says 7 by 7, and Rav Huna says 4 amos by 4 amos. Yeah?
Yeah.
Step 5, the Gemara rejects this attempt to reconcile their opinions, and rather to say that they all agree.
Reading it.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Giving us a heads up. Okay, we can do it.
Jumping the gun.
Oh.
No, we're not
So,
talking
but
about
this,
teaching it.
1 second, but this step is clear that the Gemara is trying to say, why do you have to say that they're arguing on two different reasons? Let's say they agree to their reason. But that reason only applies when?
That's minimum.
When the sukkah is the minimum. When the sukkah gets bigger, the reason goes away. So what are they arguing about? Yeah, what's the minimum? They both agree the issue will only be present when you have the minimum shear sukkah. When the minimum sukkah, when you get larger, that issue goes away and you can go higher than 20. Let's start. That's okay. I hope everybody's like it's 3 lines in more, but I just wanted it, this the to be clear. It's clear.
How could we assume that if we don't know the reason?
You're saying good. You're saying good. Like the Gemara has the Gemara can't.
We're depending that on that they have the same reason.
Right. Before we start, I want to say everybody's saying good, but and I believe that I didn't look. I want to tell you that I would say I'll explain it. I spent a long time today. I wanted just to know how to say it over like this. Just the wording over here. That they both agree to the same reason, and that reason will only apply when the sukkah is in minimum shear. Once it gets larger, now I'm just saying it's so hard to say that they agree on one reason. You talk about a sukkah 4 amos and 7 tvachim. You know what the difference is? It's almost 4 times the size, and they both have a common reason, and that it's all based. It's very hard, and that's why perhaps the Gemara rejects it. I didn't look around. I know there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of discussion on this. So, but that I just wanted that to be super clear because I realized that the Nakuda. Yeah, but to say that they both have one underlying reason. One reason goes away when you have a larger than 7 tvachim. The other same reason will go away when you have 4 amos. So it has to be like, what could that be? It can't be sell. It can't be sell because if you get rid of itself when you go more than 7, then why do you need to say?
You're just in the sheer sukkah.
No, maybe they're just arguing
When
the cell come in.
No, because that wouldn't even give a reason.
Square footage wise.
So why, if you get large, you're gonna go higher than 20? What's the shaykhs?
Why always say
a bigger roof?
Why always say pasha? The same way in the second paragraph is machlekes, right? We could say the same thing here. The machlekes is the size by if you have to how big the table has to be or whatever. If the table has to be inside or not.
Because they're arguing about the size of the sukkah. Because what was that?
They're arguing size versus height.
They're both. Let's say that one holds the sukkah, the minimum share 7, and one holds it's 4. What bearing does that have on that? If you go drop more, how can you say that would say okay? You go drop more, and they go above 20. What's the shaykhs? There has to be something underlying between a commonality that they share. A common reason why you can't go above 20.
Maybe they both did not. Right.
Maybe you want to say maybe. I'm saying that.
A foundation.
But that'll be right. You can't say that because you go a little bigger. It's not, you don't get more alright. If you go bigger, you can go higher.
If you go bigger,
then you're saying then you could go alright. Then it's more alright. You go higher. It's fair.
No, but maybe it's like a Yehuda. He needs to be kava.
I'm saying
everyone's
and his
ara.
Okay, but you hear why it's like a very nitty gritty type of thing. Yeah, not so bothered.
I go to sleep tonight. I hear it.
I want to tell you. I woke up this morning, and I've been working on this since this morning. I know it's one nakuda. I went on it this morning, and I finished an hour ago. I wrote it and rewrote it. I didn't like how I said.
Why is it not shade? The machlek.
Gavaldik. Because the Gemara earlier said when we first brought down Rav Chanan Barav, I'm sorry, the Gemara says it can't be any of them. Why can't it be 7 by 7 be any of them? Because you don't get more shade if you go jump more than 7 by 7. How much more shade are you getting already? So the Gemara rejected that shade could be the answer for 7 by 7. So now that you're putting the two of them together, you can't say shade is going to be the answer. Because when we had it separately, we rejected shade. Is that clear?
And then Avrami's kasha is huge. And anyways, then Avrami's kasha is a huge kasha. Because the arguing of Mitzias between 7 al 7 and 4 Amos, that's
This guy's bomb. And Rabbi Yaakov, that's a bomb shaila. Bomb with the one second. One second. This one second. Rabbi Yaakov has a bomb shaila. If you go bigger than 4x4, then you get shade. So let's say 7x7 is good until 20. A drop more than 7x7 one, they also say have shade. Everything proportionately. If you tell me that a drop bigger than 4x4, I'm getting shade. So why can't a drop bigger than 7x7 also give you shade?
It's not the same reason. The same reason why, according to Rabbi Zera, up to 20 gives you shade, and right above 20 doesn't give you shade.
So he's saying 7x7, you're saying give you shade till 20. Drop more not. You going to drop more?
So why
I'm still
is there
saving
such a big
that.
difference between Tvachim?
Why 4 Amos? It also boom now.
Such a big difference?
Yeah, also 4
I hear
Amos.
my
It's the same passion right if you're Zera between 20 Amos and then above, right above. So 21 Amos, 20 Amos and one tapach.
Proportionately. A drop more. We said yesterday.
Why is
It's
it
proportional.
if you're gonna say it's like 3 or 4
Okay.
Tvachim,
Right.
like by the Moab,
Right.
I hear that's questionable. That's close. This is
Okay.
not even close. What's that? Why can't you just say that one's talking about shade under, one's talking about shade over? Like we had that, like the.
Because the
I mean that could be because that's the shade under. We said is like a zuz on top, is a thing on the bottom.
Okay. In a chanami, that would be okay. We have to see if someone would say such a shot. Okay, Rabbi say. So now the share goes because the share we don't do so much Ian. So now we're starting the share. Okay. Okay, Rabbi say yeah. Fire.
Fire.
Okay. Okay, Rabbi say for everyone that's listening, we need everyone back. Rabbi say we need everybody back.
Should we call people out?
Yehuda, no. Yehuda.
You just called out.
No, Rabbi Yehuda went to his father and went to his father's COVID. So Mustami is busy with Taba with Kibbutz of Aim, and we're gonna learn Shem Shel and Shem Shel help. Shem Shel help. It's that we're gonna learn tonight. The Sukkah for Shlema for Nissim ben Yehuda. Later we'll find out afterwards. Hopefully, Misham he's doing better, but I think that's where he is. Bishlema du Rabbi Yeshia. Okay, says the Gemara. I'm backing up a little bit, and we're gonna move today. But I want everybody to say it should be like crystal clear. The whole point of it is that everything gotta read perfect. So Bishlam with Rabbi Yeshia, it is good that Rabbi Yeshia. It is understood that Rabbi Yeshia Pligi. He's arguing Ad Rav Huna Rav Chana Barabba. He's arguing on them on the reason behind why higher than 20 is possible. He's arguing on them. It has to be a fundamental disagreement why higher than 20 is possible. Why are we forced to say that? The Inu Kayav Shura, because they, Rav Chanan and Rav Huna, they give a size b'mishcha to the length of the sukkah. The Iu Loi Kayav Shura b'mishcha, he doesn't give a size to the length, rather he discusses the how high the walls go up. He discusses the walls. Sorry? Right, he says that the walls should touch the schach. So that tells us that obviously the reason for the psul was very different. Ella Rav Huna, Rav Chana Barabba, Rav Huna, who says 4 amos, and Rav Chana Barabba, who says 7x7. Neima, let's say I find there's a lot of unspoken words over here. Let us say that this is what I add in. That really they agree to the same. They agree that the problem above 20 is the same problem. This is what I want to say. Really, they agree that above 20. They agree that above 20 they agree that it's the same problem above 20. Right? They agree that it's the same problem above 20.
Meaning either 7x7 or 4x4.
Right. Both of them hold that the problem, that they both agree to the same issue when it's higher than 20. Whatever it is. Alright? But that only exists, this is the point, but that will only exist in the minimum size sukkah. But that problem will only be in the minimum size sukkah. That's
which is their machlekes.
There's their machlekes.
Write it in the margin.
Right now we say, right. So let us say that they both agree to the same issue above 20, whatever it is. So gewaldig, I say, so gewaldig, Clarkite is so good. But that problem only exists in the minimum size sukkah. So let's say Nemo, but let's say the Haksha Sukkah, they're just arguing what is the minimum size sukkah. What's the minimum size for a kosher sukkah? Demar Savar, this is Rav Huna holds Haksha Sukkah ba'ar ba'amos. A kosher sukkah is 4 amos. Umar Savar, one holds Haksha Sukkah ba'machseka is roishai v'rubai v'shulchanai. and one of them holds that the minimum size. I'm sorry, and one holds that the minimum size for kosher sukkah is 7 by 7 that can hold your head, most of your body in the table. A question mark. This is a question mark because we want to reconcile these two opinions and say they're not having a major machlekes as to the reason for the psul. Rather, for the psul above 20, rather they agree to psul. But they're just arguing what's a minimum size sukkah. The Gemara doesn't like this, by the way, everybody say. The Gemara does not like this. Put a question mark after Rubi Shulchanai. Because that's the Gemara's attempt. The Gemara makes an attempt to reconcile the two. Now the Gemara says, loy. The Gemara says, loy, no. To Kuli Alma, the Gemara says no. Everyone agrees, Hechsha Sukkah, that a kosher Sukkah is Roishay Ruv Rubai V'Shulchanai. 7 by 7. That can hold your head, most of your body, and your table. Right? And the Gemara doesn't like that. The Gemara is going to revert to what we said earlier, the understanding we had until now. The Gemara doesn't like that. This is what they're arguing about. You'll see. We're just going back to what we said before. The Mar Savar, one holds the Machzekas Roishay Ruba V'Shulchanai Pligi. Pligi is Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda. Right on top of the words is Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda. The Mar Savar, who's the Mar Savar? That's Rav Chanan. I'm sorry, let's maybe be clear. The Mar Savar, Rav Chanan holds the Machzekas Roishay V'Rubai V'Shulchanai, that where the sukkah holds your head, most of your body, and your table. Pligi, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan are arguing. And you can write on the side. And we don't know the reason, like we said before. We don't know this reason. You should try to write that down. And we don't know the reason, what the problem is, right? We don't know the reason. Is why you go drop bigger. We don't know the reason. Right? And we don't know the reason, like we said earlier. But if you go larger than Roishay Ruba V'Shulchanai, Divrei Kol, everyone would say Kishera, the sukkah is kosher. Omar Savar and Reb Huna holds Roishay V'Rubai V'Shulchanai, that from 7 by 7 ad dalet amos until 4 amos, right? It really just means everything until 4 amos, right? Everything until 4 amos. Pligi. That's where Rabban and Rabbi Yehuda argue, right? Because remember they said before. What did Rav Huna say before? The whole machlokes is by dalet amos. That means until dalet amos. That's what they're arguing. Abul Yosim dalet amos, but they say that more than 4 amos. Divrei Kol, Rabbanon and Rabbi Yehuda would agree Kesheira, and you can write on the side.
And the same thing for 7 Tefachim.
I would say, right, as we said before, because of Tzel. Right? We said before that we're going back to what we said before. The reason is because of Tzel. Yes, it's clear, Rabbi Yaakov?
So the Havinu was that.
So how does such a big machlokes?
Havinu was that Huda Huna doesn't match with the reason of Tzel, and then now we're saying he does.
Because if we want to put Rav Huna, together with Rav Chanan, we might have to fall onto a different reason. Because Rav Chanan doesn't work with Tzel. So now the Gemara is rejecting. The Gemara is rejecting that. The Gemara is saying no. We cannot reconcile the two. Everybody go back to your original position. Rav Huna who said for Amos, which is the last thing we just quoted, has to be because of Tzel. Anything until 4 Amos, that's the machlokes, because you don't have enough Tzel. More than 4 Amos, you have Tzel, and then you go above 20. And Rav Chanan holds 7 by 7. More than 7 will be good. We don't know the reason. That's the way we explained the Gemara earlier. Is it clear?
Because we're saying the machlokes here is according to one we're saying the reason is selling, the other one we're saying we don't know the reason.
We don't know the reason. Remember the Gemara said before, come on, Oslo.
If we don't saying machlokes means that we're arguing over one zach.
No, machlokes means that they have different reasons why higher than 20 is possible. Rav Huna's reason is because it's Tzel, and Rav Chanan's reason is we don't know.
So there's 2 machlokes. One is what the reason that it has to be 20 ounces doesn't work. The other one is how big it has to be.
No, they're not.
Everyone agrees that 7 by 7 is the minimum is a kosher sukkah. But if you want to go above 20, one holds a little bit more than 7 by 7 is good. The other opinion holds more than 4 amos.
If you can say it's good by 7, if everyone's masking, then why do you have to get with them 4 by 4 is a big jump.
No, everyone's masking 7 is a
So
kosher
20.
sukkah. Is a kosher sukkah, right? But one holds that. One holds. You're right.
What's changing now?
But one holds. They need to. Wait 1 second. Before we wanted to put the two of them together, and say that they're arguing as to what is a kosher sukkah, 7 by 7 or 4 by 4. Now we're saying no. We don't want to make them argue about a kosher sukkah. We want to say that no, he holds kosher sukkah is 7. He holds kosher sukkah is 4 amos.
There's also 7.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. No, they both agree. Excuse me, that a kosher sukkah is 7 amos. The question is, but they're arguing into why is it puzzle above 20?
So Rav Huna's falling back on Sel.
Rav Huna's falling back on Sel.
No, we don't know.
And Rav Chanan, we don't know. Like we said, command to like Echad. Yesterday we said, who's it going to like? Not like anybody.
We still don't know.
So you still don't know exactly. The way we understood it before, we made an attempt to say, maybe they don't have to be arguing on the main reason. They must have rejected it. No. They're not arguing. They both agree what the minimum shir sukkah is. Rav Huna holds that the problem is 4 amos and you get wider. It's good because you go to Tzell. Rav Chanan, 7 by 7, wider than 7 by 7. You go higher? We don't know.
Teiku?
Yeah. We know, like Echad, we don't know. Choices made an attempt yesterday because it's a little time ago. Without going there, but we don't know. The Gemara says, command the like Echad. Let's start? Mm-hmm. So I want to read is what I wrote here on step number 5. The Gemara rejects this attempt to reconcile their opinions and rather to say that they all agree that the minimum size for a kosher sukkah is 7 tvachim, which is Roshei Ruba B'Shulchanai, and return to our original understanding of the machlekes. And this is it. Rav Chanan Amar Rabba says the machlekes between Tanakam and Yehuda is only by a sukkah that is 7 by 7. Any larger, the Rabbanan would agree that it's good, even higher than 20. And I wrote in brackets, the reason is unknown. It doesn't fit with any reason mentioned. Not with Sel, not with Arai, and not with the Manyedu. Rav Huna Rav says, like we know, the machlekes between Tanakam and Yehuda is from a kosher sukkah that's 7 by 7 until 4 amos. Any larger than 4 amos, Rabbanan would agree is kosher, even higher than 20. Like Rav Zera, because larger than 4 amos gives more Sel, and you can go higher than 20 amos. Is that good? Is it like the Shema Kavana? No? I don't think anything is more severe than the clarity in the Gemara, but at least we grasp the sugya. Yaakov, is it stark? Mm-hmm. Your kash is still bomb, but at least we can read the Gemara's clarity. Eli, stark?
Yeah, he's not going to.
Avrami Maskim? Yeah? Okay. Yes, we do a few minutes, 3-4 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
We're starting a new Gemara, but let's start it. We're not going to finish. It's a whole long Gemara, but it's interesting Gemara. Meisvei, we're going to ask a question now on both opinions on Rav Huna and on Rav Chanan. This is the question. We're going to see the questions on both of them. Okay. The Brisa says, Sukkah shigavai lamalam esim amma psula. A sukkah that is higher than 20 amos is pasul. Rabbi Yehuda machshir. Rabbi Yehuda holds it's kosher. Ad arbam b'chamishim amma, until 40 or 50 amos. You can wear on the side lav dafka, even much higher. This is the way of speaking.
What size in the bottom?
Sorry?
What size does it have to be lengthwise?
So it doesn't say. Doesn't say what size it is. So right? So 40, 50 amos is lav dafka, not necessarily. It could be much higher than that. It's just a typical way to speak. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda, right, is going to come to bring a riot to his opinion. Maisa b'hilayni amalka. Everyone remembers this Gemara. You hear this name, it's like it brings up so many memories, right? Maisa b'hilayni amalka. There's a story of Hilayni Amalka, who the machlekes who she was. Many sheet hold that she was a queen from the Chashmonai dynasty. So we have Hilayni Amalka, Belud. She was in Lud. Shaisa Sukkasa. Her sukkah was Gavoya Me'eshem Amma. Her sukkah was higher than 20 amas. V'hayuzikenim nechnasim v'yotzim l'sham. The zikenim, the elders, the Talmidei Chacham would come and leave. Okay, we're coming and going, l'sham over there to the sukkah. Amru lanu davar.
Mashma's good.
And they didn't say anything to her. They didn't say any criticism. So you can decide that, and this would imply that the Rabbanan agreed with Rabbi Yehuda that a sukkah above 20 amas is kosher. Right? This would imply that Rabbanan agreed with Rabbi Yehuda that a sukkah above 20 amas is kosher. Amrulai, the Rabbanan said to Rabbi Yehuda, Misham Raya, from there it's a Raya. Isha Haisa, she's a woman, Upatrum in a sukkah, and she's patam in a sukkah.
They still came in.
Right, so perhaps they came just to visit and they didn't need a sukkah.
But how could you say from them going in there implies that?
Oh, you're explaining the question.
Just asking
I'm
on it.
asking.
What are you asking that? Well,
The Gemara says, "Oh, they didn't say anything. Must be it's good."
right, because
Now we're saying, "Oh, it's for a woman, and they're not potter.
the woman of Potter.
Women are potter." And then you're saying that they might not eat in there. So how could you say the first statement in the Gemara that they didn't say anything? It's kosher. You don't know if they ate in there or not.
Well, it's not. It's not.
He's asking how
You
is
don't
it
can't necessarily say that they ate in the
anything.
sukkah.
Right,
No,
right.
meaning how's the proof that they
Right,
just walked in? They walked right
you're
out.
saying good.
They didn't use the sukkah.
Right, you're saying good. You're saying why didn't the right away say what type of? This is kind of asking that. This is kind of asking that. What do you mean they didn't tell her anything? Why should they tell her anything? She's a woman.
No, even for themselves.
No,
Because they
it's
knew
like the-
themselves.
He's
They
saying
didn't
they
use the
didn't-
sukkah. They just walked in to say hi and then left. They didn't use
It's
sukkah.
usually
Yeah, but if it's a puzzle sukkah, they should tell her.
That's I think that's what the Gemara is assuming. The Gemara is assuming that how many it was that this woman was trying to sit in the kosher sukkah.
Right.
She was attempting to sit in the kosher sukkah.
Right. You can't say that we're saying, oh, because she's a woman, so it means that
She sat b'dafka in a puzzle one. Right. I think the Gemara is assuming that that we understood initially that she was trying to sit in the kosher sukkah.
Aren't you supposed to try to make a bracha when you go to sukkah for the mitzvah sukkah? So how could they do it?
Oh, that was a caution of myself.
So that they're gonna have to say that they had to show her accord her some respect, and they went in there but they weren't but they weren't going to be yaitza anything in the sukkah. Okay, so misham raya isha haisa upaturim in the sukkah. So Amar Lahen, Rabbi Yehuda told them, wait. Bahaloi shiva vonim habula, but she had 7 sons with her.
So they're quiet. That's why it was good.
Boy, and furthermore, kol maseha, all her actions, le'azasa, weren't done, ella al pi chachamim, only through following the chachamim. Period. The Gemara is going to clarify what this double statement is doing over here. But maybe we'll just stop over here because I want just to make sure that the previous Gemara, although we did yesterday, it should be perfectly clear. And tomorrow with the Shem Sub, we'll get to the Bam Amida. We'll move throughout the Gemara here. Shkirch Rabbi Yaakov recording. Shkirch the Oilam for coming out and pushing. Every night is an assign. It's not. I don't think that we ever go into auto mode where coming is taking it. Everyone's busy. Everyone's busy, and everyone has the things that come up. And every time we come out here, it's just a mischievous nefesh. But we need it. Rabbi said we need it, and